to. You get privilege. You don't have to work as hard. You can slack off in jobs and still get promoted and still not have to worry about somebody coming after you. So whiteness to me is about privilege and access to information systems and people and power that you didn't earn.
I went through a time where I was poor and I had to take care of my father, and I worked with about 100 African American men, and I was the only white male on the shop floor, and I was really horrible at this job. It was a metal grinder. I'd grind too much of it. I'd make big indentations. I was constantly messing up, and I was sure I was going to get fired. It was just a matter of time. And about 6 months into the job, the boss and a few of the managers come over. They're all white men, and I thought, this is it. This is the day I'm getting fired. And they came over and told me that they've had their eye on me and they think that I'm management material. I said, what? And they said, yeah, you stick around for a while and we think you've got potential to be a manager here.
White supremacy teaches us, programs us with the lie of the mentality of inherent authority. We believe that we have the right not only to ask for, but to expect and demand explanations and justifications from black people who are just existing. Black, indigenous, and all people of color, for being honest. If those of us who want to believe that we're part of the solution tell ourselves that this programming can't possibly have any impact on our thinking or behavior, then we are lying to ourselves, and that's dangerous.
White privilege is so prevalent that it even impacts white stereotypes. There's 100 different stereotypes for white people. You got your Chad, you got your Karen, you got your Wall Street broker, you got your hippie. What do they say about black people? They just say that they're criminals. That's because white people get to be seen as individuals where black people do not. No white parent has told their kid you can't step out the house looking any type of way because you represent the whole community. There aren't white people expected to speak on behalf of the white community. Not asking Tom Brady about the opiate epidemic, but they're asking every black football player about Black Lives Matter. Black people are the only people in America that are expected to all think the same. I'm not a Trump supporter, but remember what Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Society allows white people to form their own thoughts and create their own identity. That's because a white person is just seen as a person, but a black person, black always comes in front of it. That's even reflected in our stereotypes. Society has made it that the right to individuality itself is a white privilege.
I've been seeing these videos on what it's like to be a white man in America. And this is a topic I can very much talk about. I see a lot of people talking about how hard it is. We live life on easy mode. When was the last time you were stopped in a neighborhood or going into your apartment building and asking if you belong there? When have you ever gone to a pool and somebody said, well, do you have a key to get in? How did you get in here? We have never experienced what it's like to be a minority because we are the majority. And it's crazy to hear people talking about how they grew up poor and they're wondering where their white privilege is. It seems that the understanding of where privilege comes from is the problem. When you go to a job interview as a white person, you are more likely to get that job. Let's say maybe you made some mistakes when you were a kid and you got arrested. You are less likely to be prosecuted because we might be seen as someone with a bright future while others are seen as thugs and criminals even if they've done nothing wrong. And the argument of there's a BET, what if there was a WET? Have you ever watched Fox? The thing is, I used to think this. Why can't you talk about you're proud to be white? You literally can. But because you understand how close white pride is to white power, you realize it's wrong. There's people that are proud to be Mexican. There's people that are proud to be black. There's people that are proud to be a lot of things. There's people that are proud to be Italian or Irish, and no one has a problem with those things. But white pride comes from a heavy burden of what we've done to others. And me personally, I am not proud of that. But I will be proud to fight against the people that put these systems in place and use my privilege for good.
White privilege is the Fox News anchor having to apologize for saying that the homeless should be euthanized, whereas the Washington Post fired Karen Attiah, a black woman, for using Charlie's own quote with no other commentary.
White privilege does not mean that just because you're white, you are going to be more privileged than every person of color. It just means that any struggles or misfortunes you do experience are not caused by your whiteness. Hope that helps.
This is why people don't trust white people, because it is peak whiteness and colonizer behavior to demand civility for a man who denies others their humanity. That's the oppressor, and we do not need to sympathize or empathize with them. And don't get me wrong, because I long for a world where there is no violence in it. But until all of us are free, none of us are free. And violence is part of the equation because of the oppressor, not the oppressed. We need to understand that violence comes in many forms, and white people need to learn it most of all. And if none of that is enough to convince you, then how about the fact that Charlie Kirk said empathy is a made-up new age word that does harm, and that is the one directive of his that I am willing to honor.
Racism is the only invention that white people will not take credit for. And it's funny to see, and it's actually also inspiring to see that there are white people who actually understand the meaning of white privilege, and there are white people, which is astounding to see that right now there are white people who do not understand what white privilege actually means. White privilege does not mean that you cannot be poor because you are white. It doesn't mean that you can't get a job because you are white. It means that your skin color doesn't have to come into play when you're dealing with your daily challenges. It is not an added burden to deal with your skin color even after all the challenges that you have. It is not about getting money just because we said that you are privileged. That is not the meaning of white privilege. And it's really nice to see that there are white people who have educated themselves and they are trying to educate fellow white people on this, because this is something that is being used by politicians in America. And this is why the political scene in America is crazy right now. It's just nuts, because the politicians actually are working so hard to making sure that you continue having the same notion that you have been taught for years and years. Making sure that in your head you understand that having a white president is better for you because a white president looks the same as you, and so they're going to work for you. And I'm so glad that Trump is actually acting the way he is acting, not in a way that his actions are justified, no, in a way that white people will come to learn that you can't choose someone to rule over your whole country just because you think he's going to treat you right or better because you share the same skin color. That's crazy. At least white people will come and see to themselves, the ones who did not know something like this can actually happen. They will sit to themselves and kindly try and analyze what they have been doing and what they have been conditioned to think. Because white people have also been conditioned to think a certain way, to believe that Black people are always crying about the same things when we have already given them enough. We have given them so much. They're now living freely. Why do they continuously ask for so many things to date? That is being conditioned. That when you ask certain questions, it means that you haven't dug deep inside yourself, and also deep inside searching and understanding what black people actually go through, and what Black people are actually fighting for, because you are not Black people, so you don't understand, because you do not face the same challenges they do. But before I give my full commentary, as you can see, I'm very passionate about this particular topic. Let us hear what other white people have to say about this, and then I'll come back and give my full commentary. Kindly do consider sharing, subscribing, and liking, and let's dive in.
Having white privilege does not mean that you've never suffered. It doesn't mean that you've floated through life on a cotton candy unicorn cloud of rainbows and sprinkles. It doesn't mean that you've never experienced abuse and poverty, indignation, betrayal, and all these horrible, terrible, difficult things. What it means, very simply, is that your life has not been made harder because of your skin tone, like it has been for Black and brown people. Because we live in a racist, just inherently racist system, it is harder for them because of their skin tone than it is for us white people. That is all that means. You can still experience hard things and poverty. You can still have a really shitty life as a white person. That's not what white privilege means. It just means that it's not been shitty because you're white.
If there was white privilege, why was I always poor?
Yeah, his ideas about white privilege are all over the place. At one point he said, if I have white privilege, why did my mom, my dad, and my grandfather die? Because we're not vampires. There's not immortality. But a lot of people ask, if I have white privilege, why was I poor? Why did I struggle? Because it doesn't mean you won't do those things. It just means you won't do those things because you are white. Many groups have the same struggles you faced, plus others based solely on the color of their skin, and the fact that you don't experience those is privileged. In fact, you're so privileged you don't even realize those struggles exist. In one of his examples, he almost stumbles on the point. He says, if I'm standing with 5 black men and a police officer comes up, they assume I'm the one who's up to no good, completely missing the fact that they're saying you're guilty by association. If you're here with the likes of them, you must be up to no good. And yet all of those men are 7.5 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of a murder than you are. And the odds are even greater if the victim was white. Oh, and if all of you got popped for drug possession, they're 12 times more likely to be convicted on that drug possession than you are. How about we say all of you are applying for a mortgage to buy a home? You're more likely to be approved than they are. In fact, in 2021, an AI bias caused 80% of black mortgage applicants to be denied. And an AI isn't automatically biased, it has to be taught that. And it's not like someone sat down and typed "be racist." It looked at the system already in place, it saw the bias that already exists, and it applied it itself. Now let's say you and all those guys get approved, get your homes, then a few years later, you all decide to sell in the same market. You will almost certainly get more money for your home than they will for theirs. Like this black family who had their home appraised and it came back being worth $472,000 and they thought that was low. So they had a white friend stand in as them, removed family photos, and the same house was appraised at being worth $750,000. The examples go on and on. You don't have violent stereotypes associated with the color of your skin. You're more likely to be shown in a favorable light in the media, even if you've done something wrong. It isn't hard to find characters in books and movies and television that look and sound like you. But perhaps the greatest example of white privilege is when white people say, I think racism would go away if we just stopped talking about it. Because for many, their only exposure to racism is in media and conversation. They don't actively experience it. And not experiencing it is in itself a privilege. If a terrible thing is happening in the world and the only thing you have to do to remove it from your life is to change the channel, that is privilege.
When we have conversations about marginalized communities, I don't care if it's black people, I don't care if it's immigrants, I don't care if it's LGBTQ people, and we talk about rights for humans, white people consistently feel threatened by those possibilities because they think somehow something's being taken away from me and we just don't matter. Listen, if you are in the United States, you are in a country that was built on white supremacy, and white privilege is real. White privilege does not mean anything is handed to you necessarily. It doesn't mean that you are given advantages. What it means is that you don't have the color of your skin as a notch against you, and that's really all it means. So this idea that you're poor me, white people don't get anything, ain't gonna fly around here.
In case you're new here, I want to make it very clear where my husband and I stand in all of the chaos that is happening here in the United States. And I'm going to say it one more time. We stand with marginalized people. We stand with black people, Hispanic people, trans people, gay people, Muslim people, anyone who is being villainized in this very moment that you can think of. We stand for them. And I am tired as a white woman not seeing enough white people calling out the bullshit that is happening right now. If you've got black friends, Hispanic friends, trans friends, gay friends, and you are being quiet and you are not calling out other white people when they start saying racist, transphobic, Islamophobic, any kind of horrible remarks, you are equally a part of the problem. We do not need to let other people be comfortable in their hatred anymore. It is our job as any progressive white person to stand up and call out bullshit when we hear it and to make these people feel uncomfortable enough to go back into hiding or to second guess the things that they are supporting, doing, and saying. And no, we do not have to be close to these people, stay friends with these people, have relationships with these people if they are continuously saying things that hurt marginalized people. I have seen too many white people the minute their black friends aren't around, feel comfortable enough to sit there and listen to some bullshit that their friend might have to say that is racist and not stand up for their black friend. And then you wonder why black people don't want to fuck with us anymore. I am no longer going to not say anything to these people and be quiet. There is nothing okay with what is happening right now. And so if you are new to my page and you have started following us, I just want to let you know right here, right now, one more time, because I said it a few weeks ago, that this is where I stand. And if you come on this page and you spew any hate or any bull crap and you start talking about these other people, these marginalized groups, and you have no facts that even back up what you are saying other than Fox News, I will block you.
White privilege is a product of systematic racism. Believe it or not, but it is. It is a product of systematic racism. And like I said in the intro of this video, is that politicians and people in power generally use racism as a way to condition people to make sure that they are fighting over the wrong things. So a politician will tell you that immigrants are taking your job, whilst simultaneously not even giving you money after those immigrants have been deported. So you're both suffering. You and the immigrant are both suffering. You as a white person are suffering because, for example, the farms are now going under huge losses and they wanted these immigrants to go. They kept on saying, like, deport all these immigrants who are in our country illegally, take them back to their countries. And that's what Trump did. He sent ICE people. There were ICE raids all around the country. And now who is suffering? The immigrants obviously are suffering because they have been taken back to countries which economically are not doing well, or their families are also not doing well, and they were coming to America to get greener pastures. And you are also suffering because you're going under losses because you've said you preferred to have an immigrant taken back to their country or deported rather than for you to stay with a person to help you. That is conditioning. When a politician tells you that you cannot prosper, you cannot get this and this amount of money, you cannot get this particular thing because there's an immigrant already taking it from you. And this is now what we are coming to learn now that Trump has come into power. We have learned that there are more white people on welfare than there are brown people and black people. And white privilege comes from a point of you having the opportunity to walk around and not think about where you are, how you're living. You can literally do whatever you want without having someone be suspicious of you just because you're walking a certain way or you're wearing a hood over your head and you have a particular skin color. So white privilege simply means that. It simply means that. And white people need to understand that they have also been conditioned to believe that black people or people who do not look like them are there to hurt them. So that when those people actually try and confront politicians and say, why are you treating us a certain way? White people will remain at home and ask, why are they shouting? Why are they yelling all of a sudden? Why are they continuously asking for the same things we have already given them so much? Why are they continuously asking for more and more and more? When will it be enough? Because you have been conditioned, honey. You have been conditioned to believe that just because you decided to treat someone equally, or just because a black person got a promotion at your job, that them as a whole, like as a whole black community, are thriving and are winning beyond you or above you. And that is also a problem because black people are not treated with individuality. Only white people have the privilege to be given individuality. So when a white person makes a mistake and goes to jail, they do not represent a whole community. We have had a man talk about this earlier in the video. Black people, when they step out of the door, they are expected to represent the whole community. So however they walk, however they talk, whatever they do, they are expected to act a certain way because that is what the America expects them to be. They have been given a role of community. They have been given a name of community. And that is why when you see a black person, you think of them as a black and not an American first. They are not American before you think of, their skin color. You first think of their skin color, then you call them an American. But white people have that privilege. A white person can be European or Italian or French, but before they speak, you wouldn't even know that, oh, he's not from America. Because white people have the aspect of individuality. They have been given a way for them to be whatever they want to be without being given the burden to carry of the whole community. And that's why you'll see when a black popular celebrity does something that is crazy, maybe abuses someone or kills someone or does something outside the law, black people are kind of shamed for it because they're supposed to be acting some type of way because they are black. And it's like treating someone or making sure that someone behaves because they are living in your country, you understand? Like, white people expect black people to act a certain way, not do certain things because they're taking it as a whole community. So if a black person does something bad out of, the law that is put, it means that black people are now misbehaving because we've already given them a place to stay. They're now having houses, they're now having jobs. There are black people who are millionaires and billionaires. So why are they still, why are they serial killers in the black community? Where are they, black people are just carried as a whole. And this continuously carries the notion of white privilege. Because you can be taken as an individual, but a black person cannot. And having that as a black person is really, really sad. And something that white people need to also understand, for those who do not know, that it doesn't take anything from your culture, from your, I don't know if black people have a culture, but it doesn't take anything from your community as white people when black people ask for more. When black people ask for reparations, kindly understand that it does not come from your pocket, neither does it come from the tariffs that you're paying. It comes from the government. Because if they are able to pay the Jewish people, they're able to pay the Japanese people reparations, and all around the world, they are all countries, even Europe is paying reparations to countries that they colonized and they mishandled. It does not have to take away from you. And you have been conditioned to think that it will actually affect you. That is being conditioning. You have been conditioned, that is conditioning someone to believe something that is not actually right. So when black people say they want reparations, immediately you think about your pockets, you think about, what if they're paid, then how am I going to afford doing this and that and that and this when it's coming out of my pocket? Darling, it's not coming out of your pocket. When black people also ask for people to just treat them right and actually leave them alone, because you see that so many people from different cultures are always in black people's businesses. Sorry to say, but it's true. For example, when the white farmers had lost all these immigrant workers and they were suffering, they were asking black people to march with them and stand with them during those times. You see, it does not affect black people, but black people are already being called into things that do not concern them. Whilst when they are fighting for something that they need or they want people to support them in, white people are nowhere to be found. They're like, can we get this over and done with so I can go watch my football game, or let me go watch the news, or let me go follow Taylor Swift on tour or something, So kindly, this video was more about education than attacking. It was more about teaching than pointing a finger to a certain group of people. So kindly, if you are a white person out there who has made it this far to the video, thank you. Kindly learn, kindly do your research. Do not be told something and then believe it as soon as they say it. You can also do your research, make up your mind and choose which side you want to be of history. You don't have to go with the side that you have been taught by your parents or your community or your pastor. You can choose your own path. And I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you have, kindly do consider sharing, subscribing, and liking. I'd also like to read your comments and interact with you down in the comments below. So kindly comment and let us speak about it. Do you agree with my commentary or do you not? Do you agree with the people in this video or do you not? I'd like to hear what you have to say, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. If you also would like to support me in another way, I do have a buy me coffee link down in my description below. I will truly appreciate. Goodbye.